As the final hours of 2025 tick away, a sense of anticipation and uncertainty hangs over New York City. The city's iconic skyline glows against the winter night, while the streets below bustle with the energy of a metropolis on the brink of change. The countdown to midnight is more than just a passage of time. It marks the end of an era at City Hall. Outgoing New York City Mayor Eric Adams is making headlines with a bold and unexpected accusation, sending shockwaves through the city's political circles and beyond. As cameras flash and reporters gather outside City Hall, Adams steps up to the podium, determined to have the last word before his term officially ends. Just before leaving office, Adams claims the Department of Justice, under President Biden's administration, specifically targeted him for political reasons. He suggests that the investigation into his conduct was not just about justice, but about sending a message, one that could have far-reaching implications for political leaders across the country. This charge, coming from the leader of America's largest city, has ignited a firestorm of debate and cast a long shadow over the transition at City Hall. The city's political establishment is abuzz, with some rallying to Adams's defense and others questioning his motives. Adams is using his last moments in office to shape the narrative of his legal battle, ensuring that his perspective is front and center as his administration comes to a close. He's not just defending himself, he's challenging the very institutions that have scrutinized him, hoping to sway public opinion and influence how history will remember his tenure. By alleging lawfare, Adams echoes rhetoric often used by Donald Trump, despite being a lifelong Democrat. This unexpected parallel blurs traditional party lines and highlights a growing sense of distrust toward federal investigations, regardless of political affiliation. This surprising alignment suggests a growing bipartisan suspicion that the justice system is being weaponized for political ends. It raises uncomfortable questions about the boundaries between law enforcement and politics, and whether anyone in power is truly immune from partisan attacks. Adams's final act, accusing the DOJ of a politically motivated attack, forces the public to grapple with a difficult dilemma. Was the investigation into his actions a genuine pursuit of justice, or was it retaliation for political reasons? The answer remains elusive, fueling speculation and debate across the city and the nation. As a new mayor prepares to take office and the city looks to the future, this question lingers in the air, unresolved and deeply consequential for the trust between citizens and their government. To grasp Adams's claim, we need to understand lawfare, using legal systems as weapons in political battles. Lawfare isn't about justice, it's about using lawsuits and investigations to discredit or neutralize opponents. Adams's accusation suggests the DOJ targeted him not for crimes, but for disagreeing with the president. The term has gained traction, offering a simple narrative. The accused is a victim of a corrupt system. This can rally supporters and cast doubt on investigations, turning legal defense into political crusade. But critics warn that lawfare can be a shield for real wrongdoing, letting politicians dismiss credible charges as witch hunts. The challenge, distinguishing between genuine prosecution and political targeting, is nearly impossible. The public is left to decide whom to trust, the accused or the justice system. New York City Mayor Eric Adams has forcefully argued that the Department of Justice targeted him not because of any wrongdoing, but as a direct response to his outspoken criticism of President Biden's immigration policies. Adams claims that his willingness to challenge the administration's approach to the ongoing migrant crisis in New York put him in the federal government's crosshairs. As the city struggled to accommodate thousands of new arrivals, Adams became one of the most vocal Democratic critics of federal immigration policy, repeatedly calling for more support and resources from Washington. According to Adams, the federal investigation into his campaign finances intensified in direct proportion to his public criticism, suggesting a deliberate effort to silence or punish him for speaking out. He points to other politicians who have faced similar circumstances but did not attract the same level of scrutiny, arguing that he was unfairly singled out because of his willingness to challenge the status quo. By framing himself as a truth-teller punished for defending his city and its residents, Adams taps into a deep well of public skepticism about federal overreach and the impartiality of justice. He draws parallels between his own experience and a broader pattern, suggesting that the Biden administration's Department of Justice has a history of using legal investigations as a tool to intimidate or silence political dissenters. this narrative shifts the public conversation away from the specific allegations against Adams and instead raises questions about the motivations and fairness of his accusers. Adams' story serves as a warning, suggesting that if justice can be weaponized against him for political reasons, it could happen to anyone who dares to challenge those in power. For his supporters, Adams is a courageous victim of political retribution. For his critics, he's simply trying to distract from legitimate legal concerns. The debate over whether this is a case of political persecution or a legitimate investigation remains unresolved, fueling ongoing controversy and division in the city and beyond. Adams's legal troubles peaked with a federal indictment in September 2024, alleging bribery, wire fraud, and illegal campaign contributions from Turkish sources. The charges shocked New York, especially given Adams's law enforcement background. Adams pleaded not guilty, calling the case a politically driven attack. The indictment dominated his final year as mayor, overshadowing his administration. In 2025, after a change in presidential administrations, the DOJ dropped all charges, citing government interest, not innocence. Adams' supporters saw this as vindication. Critics called it more politics. The case's abrupt end left the evidence untested and the public divided. Two competing narratives emerged: political persecution or justified prosecution. The truth remains murky, fueling ongoing debate. Adams drew a direct comparison between his legal battle and Donald Trump's, despite their stark differences. By aligning his experience with Trump's, Adams taps into a narrative that the DOJ targets political adversaries, regardless of party. This unusual bridge across the aisle elevates Adams's claim from personal grievance to a systemic issue. Supporters see this as evidence of a politicized DOJ. Critics say Adams is deflecting from serious allegations. They argue the facts of Adams' case differ greatly from Trump's, making the comparison misleading. Still, the parallel resonates, fueling distrust in federal institutions. The debate over whether the DOJ is weaponized or simply doing its job intensifies. Adams' strategy ensures the lawfare narrative remains in the spotlight. The DOJ counters Adams's claims by pointing to the timeline their investigation began in September 2021, before Adams was mayor or a Biden critic. Prosecutors argue the probe was based on evidence, not politics, and followed standard procedures. The Southern District of New York's reputation for independence is central to their defense. They insist the case was about alleged crimes, not political retaliation. The timing, they say, was coincidental, not calculated. For the DOJ, Adams's lawfare claim is a self-serving conspiracy theory. The public's trust in legal institutions is crucial to this argument. Ultimately, the case's timing is used by both sides to support their narratives. Adams's relationship with the law is deeply personal, shaped not only by his experience as a victim of police brutality as a teenager, but also by his decades-long career within the NYPD. Growing up in Brooklyn, Adams saw firsthand the tensions between police and the communities they served. These early encounters left a lasting impression, fueling his determination to change the system from within. As a reform-minded NYPD officer, Adams was never content to simply follow the status quo. He pushed for accountability and transparency, often challenging the department's leadership on issues of race and justice. In the 1990s, he co-founded 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care, an advocacy group dedicated to fighting discrimination within the NYPD and supporting officers who spoke out against injustice. Through these efforts, Adams built a reputation as both a cop and a critic, someone who understood the pressures of policing but also the urgent need for reform. This dual identity has allowed Adams to speak with authority on justice issues, giving him credibility among both law enforcement and activists. He's often described as someone who blends toughness with a genuine commitment to reform, walking a fine line between the two worlds. Today, Adams frames his accusations against the Department of Justice through this unique lens, arguing that his lived experience gives him rare insight into the roots of systemic abuse. He claims to recognize patterns of misconduct that others might overlook, insisting that his perspective is shaped by years of both suffering and service. Supporters see him as a lifelong crusader for justice, someone who's never been afraid to challenge powerful institutions in pursuit of fairness. But critics argue that Adams is a master at shaping narratives to serve his own political ambitions, using his background to deflect criticism and rally support. For some, Adams's history adds credibility and depth to his current fight. For others, it's a source of skepticism and cynicism. Whether his latest battle is seen as a genuine continuation of his reform efforts or a calculated defense against political threats depends on who you ask. The debate over Adams' motives mirrors the larger ongoing conflict over law, justice, and politics in New York City, and across the nation. The Adams DOJ clash strikes at the heart of public trust in the rule of law. If Adams is right, it signals a dangerous abuse of power, justice used as a political weapon. If the DOJ is right, it shows how officials can undermine institutions by crying witch hunt. Both scenarios erode faith in democracy and the impartiality of the justice system. The conflict deepens polarization, making legal outcomes seem like political victories or defeats. Restoring trust in institutions becomes harder, as each side accuses the other of bad faith. The long-term risk, a society where law is seen as just another tool in political warfare. The Adams case is a warning about the fragility of democratic norms. As 2025 ends, the Adams saga leaves more questions than answers. The charges were dropped, but Adams's reputation remains contested. Hero to some, suspect to others. The central question, justice or lawfare, remains unsettled, reflecting deep national polarization. The case highlights the blurred line between law and politics, with each side claiming the other is corrupt. Allegations quickly became part of a larger narrative about DOJ weaponization, overshadowing the facts. Public discourse now centers on which side is more abusive, not on evidence or truth. As we enter 2026, debates about DOJ reform and institutional trust will persist. Adams's comparison to Trump ensures the issue stays in the national spotlight. Ultimately, this case is a mirror of America's anxieties about justice, power, and democracy itself.